who am I? So I'm Amanda. I have a background in biomedical engineering. I basically went through the usual traditional path in life. I went to school, I got a job, and then I hit this breaking point in life. Something really hit me on an emotional level, and I was really struggling to come out of this place of darkness. I found that I was just like on this slippery slide that no matter how hard I tried to stop myself from sliding down, I just kept sliding down even further until I hit what I thought was the bottom of the slide, but what it felt like was that the bottom of the slide was the end of a cliff. And then I just kept falling and falling even further and even further down. Once you're in this deep, dark hole, how the hell do you get yourself out of that? And this is my journey. This is my struggle. This was what I really struggled to do for a really long time. And I found myself in this place of burnout, depression, anxiety. I was experiencing symptoms of PTSD from trauma. I was heartbroken, and I didn't really know how to deal with this. And so I used to have people say, oh, you just have to be more resilient and just pick yourself up and keep going. But when you're in a really dark place and the lights in your life are just switched off, it's really not useful. And for somebody who had experienced teenage cancer and had gone through 2.5 years of intense chemotherapy, whilst I was doing my A-levels, I achieved all A in my A-levels. I went to university. By then I had full body muscle wastage, so weakness in all my muscles. I couldn't really walk fast, definitely couldn't run. I mean, to try and run, it was like jelly under my feet or under my knees. And that was like really, really, something I really struggled with. And so throughout university, I was doing this biomedical engineering degree. I was building up my muscle to be back to normal, to the point where I was running Tough Mudder races. And then I got into a graduate scheme in engineering, and then I entered into the workplace, and then like life just kind of, I was on the way up, and then life just kind of really hit me in the face with this really intense experience, which then spiraled me down into this hole. And so for somebody to tell me, oh, you just need to be more resilient, like I was just like, this person has no idea what I've already been through, and like how much more resilience can one person have? Like it's really, really baffled me, and actually angered me a little bit, because I was in a really angry phase in my life. At that point, I was just fuming. Like I had never felt so angry in my life after this experience. I was raging. Like it felt like I had this internal Hulk inside of me that could just tear out at any point. And I didn't know how to deal with all of this. This was the first time I had been really like overwhelmed with all of these emotions. And then it dawned on me that there's actually different types of resilience. And so you can have mental, physical resilience, which I had a lot of, clearly. And then you have a mental, emotional resilience. And that was my Achilles heel. That was the area of weakness for me, because growing up, all I had learned was how to suppress my emotions. And so when life hit me with this emotional storm, I didn't have the tools. I didn't feel like I knew how to regulate that. I didn't know how to express it. I didn't know how to transmute that in a healthy way. And so I had to go on a really long journey on how to learn how to do this. And I used to have like this blockage in my throat when I wanted to express my emotions. And this was something that I really struggled with. And of course, you don't really know you're suppressing your emotions until life really hits you in the face. And you're just consumed and overwhelmed by this overwhelming sense of emotion. You might be crying a lot. You might be feeling really angry. You might be in this really, really deep depression and like this deep sadness, to the point where you might even feel like you've expressed so much emotion that you just feel nothing, that you just feel like your heart's all like black and just numb. How do you deal with that? And so over the last 4 years, coming from that really like emotionally intense experience, I've been on a journey around the world, between my Masters of Engineering in the UK and all of the retreats, courses, coaching, therapy, all the books I've read, podcasts, everything. Like I have consumed so much in the last 4 years, and that has cost me about £70,000 between all of that. And so all of that knowledge and experience and skills and education has gone into this course in a way that is succinct, simple enough, that also takes you through that journey from being in this really dark place to feeling really grounded, joyful, and at peace within yourself once again, and really coming out of this place of darkness and into the light. And I've condensed this down into 6 weeks. Okay, so the first module we're going to cover is the process of transformation. So this was something that was a real game changer for me, because when you can understand this process, you can really shift your perspective on your experience. Now, the second module we're going to be covering is nervous system regulation. And again, especially if you've experienced a traumatizing experience, or you just feel like you're constantly being triggered by things that remind you of certain experiences, you just feel like you're really dysregulated and you're just not quite yourself, this is the perfect module for that. And then we're going to cover emotional regulations. This is particularly great for people who are prone to suppressing their emotions and have been really overwhelmed by this like tsunami of emotions, and they're no longer able to suppress them. And this is teaching you tools of healthy emotional regulation that you can always go back to help you process these emotions in a more healthy way. And then the next module after that, which is the fourth one, we're going to go into some deeper healing work. So this is one of the things that I went through on many different occasions, on different retreats. And a lot of the times that I was on retreats in particular, I was around people who were in their like midlife crisis. So they were going through this like turmoil and were going through this really deep healing experience. And I was often, if not always, the youngest person there. So I was going through a bit of a quarter life crisis at that time. And the amount of times I had people come up to me and say, man, I wish I knew this, like back when I was your age, my life would have turned out so differently. And so that's what we're going to cover there. And then the fifth module is heart alchemy. So I'll go into more of what that means, but we're bringing our head and our heart back into balance and back into coherence. And this is like a deep healing. I'm going to go down the science and biology. So this is really grounded in science. And then the final module, which is the sixth module, is aligning you with your true path. So it's going to really set you up on that direction of centering yourself to what you're here to do and not just what society has prescribed for you. I'm so excited to share all of this with you. Everything that I've covered in these 6 modules, I have been absolutely like fascinated by over the last 4 years. Like even long after I was out of the hole, I was still going to retreats and things, just learning and consuming and really understanding this work on a much deeper level. And this is just one of my passions. And so I'm really excited to share that with you. So if you're still watching and you're resonating with my story on an emotional level and you're feeling those tingles up your spine, then this course is for you. Do not hesitate. Go down and sign up to the course and just get started. So it's a 6-week drip-fed course. You get a 14-day money-back guarantee, and you'd also have a lifetime access to this course. So whenever you're having troubles on an emotional level in particular, then you can come back to this course at any point in your life and refer back to them and keep doing the practices. And so I really look forward to seeing you in this course and really own that and own your journey. And this is like a journey of a lifetime. You will not regret it.